Test. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Houston Oasis. We're glad that you're joining us, whether you're joining here in the Zoom chat or you're over on Facebook Live. We are just so glad that you could be here. If you don't know what Houston Oasis is, this is your first time watching. Houston Oasis is a secular community that meets weekly here in Houston, Texas. We always have great talks and great music, and this week is no different. In fact, we had our musician today here with us, maybe a few months ago. We've at least had him play once during the pandemic era. He's spoken at Oasis. Kevinee Gilmore, a Houston area singer-songwriter, guitarist, producer, and teacher, has the goal of writing great songs in just about every genre and style you can come up with. In 2005, he was voted Singer-Songwriter of the Year for the Academy of Texas Music, and in 2007, his song Einstein's Violin was nominated Song of the Year at the Texas Music Awards. And it's always a double treat because Ken brings along the excellent guitar player in Wayne Wilkerson. Both of them play regularly Thursday night at Anderson Fair down here in the Montrose area where I am, if you want to go see them at Songwriters in the Round. But this morning, you get to see them right here at Houston Oasis. Houston Oasis, let's welcome Kevinee Gilmore and Wayne Wilkerson.
And you get to see the morning me and the morning Wayne. Good morning, Houston. And I imagine there are folks out there who are not from Houston. That's one of the beauties of doing these Zoom gatherings like this. We can spread it out to the universe. But if you do live here in Houston, you know we need rain. I've been dodging raindrops for most of my life, trying to keep my head above the storm. It's a funny kind of dance, a little shuck and jive, shoveling around left and right, keeping out of sight, keeping myself alive. Tight, never let them know, never let those feelings show. So let it rain, let it wash my cares and tears away. Rain, let me hold my head up high and say, and the water is a wisdom that carries on alone, giving life to everything that grows. And the water is the power that polishes the stone, sweeping down the mountains through the streams, gracing all our loves and hopes and dreams with rainbows. Into the open, caution the wind, never going back, never giving in. So let it rain, let it wash my cares and tears away. Rain, let me hold my head up high and say, Einstein was a dedicated musician. Spent his whole life passionately, but not always very well, playing violin. And so the theory goes that when Einstein was working on solving the problems of the physical universe, he'd be playing his violin. And I thought, well, what if in the process he was also working on the problems of the spiritual universe, if you will? Universe of the heart. If time and space are relative, what of love and pain? Does one become the other in the end? Can we find forgiveness in a single drop of rain? Or drift apart inside the solar wind? If we could only play Einstein's violin, would the notes reveal the truth we wish to hold? If we could only play Einstein's violin, would the secrets of the heart unfold? Following a beam of light, slowing down in time, bending with the smallest breath of air. If forever is a single night, spinning on a dime, the smallest touch has energy to spare. If we could only play Einstein's violin, would the notes reveal the truth we wish to hold? If we could only play Einstein's violin, would the secrets of the heart unfold? And if Einstein was wrong, would it take too long to reach out and recapture yesterday? And if Einstein was right, as we approach the speed of light, to find the feelings not so far away, then maybe in this universe that separates us now, we discover how to fall in love again. Playing Einstein's violin to discover how to fall in love again. Thank you very much. looking forward to the rest.
2007 Song of the Year at the Texas Music Awards, and we see why. Beautiful song. Thank you, guys. And we're going to hear more from Ken and Wayne a little bit later in our gathering this morning. But with that, we're going to introduce to you our main speaker for today, Kevinee Gilmore. To say that Kevinee Gilmore, foster care. Houston Oasis, let's hear more about Kevinee's story and more from Kevinee. Please welcome Kevinee Gilmore.
Hey everybody, I'm extremely grateful to be here. More importantly, I feel like everything's vibration and that anyone who is with anyone at any given time, they're supposed to be. I also feel like one of your 5 principles I definitely embody, and that is human hands solve human problems. And I've devoted, I feel like I've sacrificed the last 18 years of my life, even as a mom. I have an 8-year-old son, to helping kids who are in foster care from all over the world. Are you guys able to hear me? Good. Okay, great. I know that I am most synonymous for foster care, and I wanted to show you some of the work that I've done, leveraging celebrities and elected officials, with showing that, because I cannot remember exactly how I was taught to do it. And
yeah, there's a should be a green share screen button there, I think, Kevinee, at the bottom middle of your, where you see everybody's faces.
Okay.
Click on that guy and then
that video, and that has me up here. Okay, guys, you have to forgive me. This is like a matrix to me. And it's funny that it doesn't look like how it looked when we were learning it. Anyway, I'll keep talking as I go. So, to Jess's point, I aged out at 18. I went to foster care at 13. My mother was kind of the mom that leveraged her kids to, there it goes, leveraged her kids to get money. Everyone simply played crazy for Social Security, and I became a runaway. I continuously ran away. So I've taken psychotropic drugs that I didn't need. So Wellbutrin, Prozac, Zoloft, in assisting her to receive Social Security. 13 foster homes, like Jess said, 5 different high schools. I've never been to prom, and only went to college for a place to live, and still ended up homeless there. 54% of kids who typically age out of foster care don't have a high school diploma. So I was really excited when I was able to graduate, and less than 3% actually earned their college degree. And so having that opportunity afforded me to work on Capitol Hill, which landed me in Hillary Clinton's office. Uh-oh, that's not working, guys. Oh, I have to do it like that. Interesting. So here, let me back up. That's not working. That's not working. Okay, I'll just start it from here. So Run DMC actually came to Cleveland and heard my story. I always attract these cool opportunities, even speaking with Houston Oasis. And he was like, hey, yo, I want you in my documentary. And that afforded me the opportunity to travel with Run DMC, Daryl McDaniel, who found out at 36 that he had been adopted. Simultaneously, I thought, why don't I brand foster care in a way to make it cool? Up until that point, I had a ton of different exposure opportunities, working on Capitol Hill in John Kerry's office, working for Hillary Clinton as her child welfare strategist. But I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and when I would come back home, there would always be challenges. I had a middle sister who ended up being human trafficked for 2 years. So I'll give you some data on that as well. Foster youth typically are human trafficking victims. In 2018, they discovered that 88% of kids that were victims were former foster youth or had ran away from a group home placement. my brother, who was an honor student, ended up serving a 9-year jail sentence, and 36% of kids who age out of foster care typically within the first year go to prison. And so I would have these bomb opportunities and come back home and hear data or even my own family and their suffering. And I thought, I need to figure out a cool way to make foster care cool. And like 5 years ago, no one really knew what to do with hashtags. And so that whole hashtag foster care thing is pretty much me being sarcastic that we should hashtag foster care, because as we're saying, our hashtag is this for our wedding, or our hashtag is this for our business. No one was really looking into the plights of foster youth. I don't know why that is happening. So I started to travel and leverage my political exposure opportunities. This is Congresswoman Bass, of course, DMC again, Simone Biles. It started to trend. I think we don't leverage social media the way that we should. And as more celebrities got involved, they really got activated in providing exposure opportunities and access to capital to foster youth. Even in this particular slide, this is a young lady who had been living homeless with her daughter in Compton. And the young lady in the gray is a Grammy Award winning singer, SZA, who saw her story simply off social media and physically went to her motel room to help her. And so what the campaign has afforded is the access to just being in the comfort of your own home and allowing everyday people to be a part of the process, opposed to the red tape that manifests in child welfare. Like, most people want to help, they don't know where to start, don't have the space to be a foster parent, or they're just not in that their time of their life where they want to be an adoptive parent, but there's so many other things that can be done. I don't know why this is going backwards like that. So what started to happen from leveraging social media, which I think we all should, is that celebrities got involved, and it afforded me opportunities to go to events for free. This is Little Kim and a celebrity. Of course, when Hillary Clinton ran, I was her child welfare strategist. I didn't just start hashtag foster care for my own gain. I also wanted to include the LGBT community. Foster kids who identify as that are less than likely to have group homes. They're more than likely to be put in a group home placement, less than likely to have loving homes. My sister came out in foster care, which led to her being trafficked. We are a bipartisan nonprofit. I don't care what you are, what your religious background is. I don't know why it's doing this. As long as you care about helping foster kids, I'm for it. Of course, I've had the opportunity to work with former foster youth who are now famous, like Tiffany Haddish. And what this campaign simply does is provide children with exposure opportunities they wouldn't typically have. They get a chance to go to concerts, they get a chance to meet celebrities, they get a chance to sit courtside, they get a chance to get new clothes, opposed to waiting for the one voucher that they get a year. And they also have the opportunity to now have the gumption that is required to say, hey, okay, I'm a foster kid. Things were rough, things were tough, but some of my favorite celebrities are actually supporting. And I'm going back the same way again. It was easier when you could click, guys. You taught me how to click. I'm going the same. I'm not being able to use the clicker. Okay, so I strategically wanted to leverage people that people find value in. So here is Nene Leakes from Atlanta Housewives. This is the stuff people watch. So how simple will it be to get those people activated so that it can move people to action? The campaign has done really well. I've gotten the Nelson Mandela Humanitarian Award, the Community Activist of the Year. I haven't had an opportunity to meet Oprah, but that is her boyfriend, so I think I'm close. And more importantly, I just wanted, I don't want to say quote unquote regular people, but I wanted people who don't necessarily follow the rules, people that lead with love, people that understand that to be able to even engage in philanthropy, you really have to feel. I wish we could change the spelling of philanthropy, because so many kids are suffering in foster care. My shirt says I'm in therapy because I am. Foster kids are more than likely to have PTSD, 2 times that of war veterans, because the community at large isn't really familiar with the data and practices. And there's been a very, very, very low amount of numbers of people who want to foster and adopt. It's been easier, of course, to get animals adopted, but kids are always a challenge. I even looked at some of the data that you guys have for Houston, and it's saying between the ages of 0 to 2, they make up a fourth of the population of kids that are currently in foster care, and 21% of the kids that are in foster care in Houston are between the ages of 17 to 19. I'm really hoping that your mayor did what our mayor did, and that's really put an edge. I got the mayor of Dallas, Mayor Mike, to support where we've thought of a cool acknowledge May is National Foster Care Month and November is National Adoption Month as a way to get the city at large involved in some of the red tape that is happening. Here, I'm gonna click to see who is next. And I also feel like that it really doesn't matter what political leader we have, if we don't start leveraging our own vibration of things that we can do on the ground, nothing will really change. So I don't want people to see these pictures and think that I'm a politician. I'm just like an everyday woman who really wanted to help foster kids the best way that I can. But more importantly, I wanted to have an open conversation, not necessarily about foster care, but what does it really require to move us to action? And are we personally living our lives abundantly in a way that we're going after our goals and dreams and not being afraid to do that? Or are we really listening to the activist that's inside of us? I think a lot of times we just want to play it safe and we ride past things that we could hold people accountable for, or we don't email on things that we could hold people accountable for, or we don't leverage our voice in a way that, you know, allows us to not have a fear of loss, like not operate in a fear of loss, like we may potentially lose our jobs or that that title because we're being afraid to say what is required. I think one of the things that I appreciate about my grandmother before she passed is the older you get, the easier it gets to just say it like it is. And I think I've pretty much embodied that. Building hashtag foster care, because I'm not always a favor calling out data, but I really wanted to make this interactive. I feel like I'm only an expert in the life that I lived. I wanted to be able to really dialogue with you guys in a way that talks about not just foster care, but what requires people to just really lead with their hands. I really love the principle that Houston Oasis has, like, how can we collectively engage people to want to foster or adopt, or just really open up the activist that's inside of them. And I'm gonna pause. I feel like every time I want to touch this screen, if I do it here, you hear that noise? That's what I learned how to change it. If I go this way, nothing moves. If I go this way, so that's really interesting. So I don't know why, but there's more. Oh, wait. If I go that way, that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. Chris Rock, whose mother actually fostered 17 kids. I don't know if people know that, but she did. Big Sean, of course, the kids love him. That's my mayor of Cleveland. I was telling you guys, he honored May as National Foster Care Month. I think once cities get involved, it's really hard for the state to do what they want to do to kids. We just got to know. And I do believe, I said this earlier, before we jumped on here, is that words don't teach. So I can give a ton of data and I can pose as an expert Words really don't teach us. It's really being interactive and getting in the trenches with each other and having an opportunity to feel and use our hands to heal the world. Let's see. That is a singing group. Escape, Stevie Wonder. Now, what was really cool about meeting Stevie Wonder is, of course, he can't see, but he did tell me that he could feel my vibration and that he was very much so comfortable holding a sign he didn't know said foster care, because he felt like I was really genuine about this. And so I just want people, again, to remember, I'm not a go to church on Sunday person. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm like more so into like metaphysics and us really leveraging our bodies and our vibration and our own thoughts to move us to action. In every book, it talks about how, quote unquote, if we use the Bible, that Moses was the very first adopted person. His mother put him in a basket. She let him go. Someone picks him up, Pharaoh's daughter. He changes the world, but he has all this adversity. There's this big fear of teenage foster kids that don't allow people to see them as kids anymore. And they're navigating a life as they should, similar to Moses, just trying to find their way. And there should be a calling on everyone's life, no matter what, to want to help kids. So I'm hoping that after this, you look at some of the data that I mentioned about foster care and you be like, be like Stevie. You don't have to know me or be able to even have to hear someone's foster care experience or see it for you to get activated to want to help. I don't know why it's going back there. I'm trying, guys. I'm learning. Okay, it's doing that thing again. This is very sensitive. Okay, here's the arrow key. It doesn't work. Arrows aren't working when you get on here. Wait, okay. I don't know. It's only allowing me to really use my finger. There is a picture that I just wanted to kind of leave it on. If I can get to it with my finger. That's the mayor of Compton, who I just passed, Asia Brown. I don't know, guys. It's not letting me. Okay, I'll stop. Because the arrow key is not working on this, I promise you. It's just making that sound. Can you hear it?
It's a nice beat, though. That's the good news. Yeah.
Beat. Yeah. I was going to leave it on this one. I'll try again. I think we all can have some empathy for each other as we navigate this new experience of technology, because really we should be touching each other in a space and hugging and getting a chance to feel each other's vibration in this whole new world. I wanted to land it on that picture. And okay. And the reason, thank you, Jesse, did you send a message out to the Zoom guys? The reason why I wanted to land it on this picture is not for political gain or for people to pay attention. Of course, her time is up. But that I was aged out foster youth. I had the highest behavior level. I went to 13 different foster homes. I could not pass the 8th grade math proficiency test to the 12th grade. I only have a social work degree. I can hardly spell half of the time, and clearly I cannot operate Zoom. And slept in a car, slept in shelters, had an early pregnancy at 20 that led to an abortion that I'm comfortable talking about today because of the 76% of girls who age out of foster care and mothers by their 21st birthdays. But of all those things, and the PTSD and the mental health challenges that they say foster kids have, I was able to take myself from sleeping in a shelter to physically walking Hillary Clinton out on her very first stop in Ohio, on her first stop for her campaign. And so if more people could get activated and stimulated and motivated in some of the plights of foster kids, and I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be a foster parent, then it took one person to change my entire life. She was a social worker who allowed me to physically come into her office and curse and have my hair all wrapped up and just sit there and just listen. And I feel like that's what we're all really yearning for, someone to understand where we're coming from, someone to really empathize, but in action, someone to heal with their hands, help with their hands, someone to just touch. And so I don't know how my life would have been if I didn't have that person. So I feel like if you ever get the inclination of fostering or adopting, that spirit, that feeling doesn't come out of nowhere, that you probably should answer it. Classes are typically 36 hours. And I like to say that fostering is similar to finding a good hairstylist, nail tech, or a barber. You kind of got to shop around because some people mess you up. Or it's like dating, sometimes you need to go on a second date to give the person a break from the first one. Maybe they were a little, anxious or whatever. So you can find an agency that really motivates you to help these kids. That's what I got.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kevinee. We appreciated that. And we definitely have empathy on the Zoom front because we were all working through it together. So it was totally fine. The presentation was excellent. In fact, we've already started getting, at least we've got one question over on the Facebook, but here's what we're going to do before we take questions. We're going to take a chance to do a breakout rooms. And so what that's going to be is in the Zoom here, if you are participating with us, you're going to get a little message in just a second to join a breakout room if you'd like. You don't have to. You could go take a break if you want. But we'll do these breakout rooms for about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. This is a good chance to say hi to everybody in your breakout room, ask how things are going during the pandemic, and then discuss Kevinee's talk. What stood out for you? Do you have any experiences with foster care or people that know people that foster? Do you foster? And then after that, we'll come back and discuss any comments that emerged that you want to share with Kevinee during those breakout sessions and any questions as well. So with that, Abhishek, I think you could go ahead and do what you need to do in terms of making breakout rooms work. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. And if you're on Facebook Live, you're probably thinking, what pop-up is he talking about? Technology where a message is going to come through my screen and invite me to a breakout room when I'm on this one page. That's because it's not. So this is happening on our Zoom page. But the good news is if you're on the Facebook, this is a chance not only just to take a break if you want one, but also to type any questions you have for Kevinee in the comments there. So any comments or questions that you have for Kevinee, you could start typing them there, and we'll make sure to share those during our Q&A when we get started here in just a bit. I want to say hello to Johnny Risby, who's watching. He's already posted a comment in there for us. And to Ken Williamson and Bob Gross are also on the feed with us. Thank you guys for joining on Facebook Live. Hopefully we will get some, we had some, I guess the sound was a little loud on Ken's front. So if Ken comes back, we might tell him to turn that down. Somebody comment. Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, Ken, somebody had just mentioned that the overall gain was clipping a little bit. So we'll just, maybe for your last song, you can crank it down. And let's see what else we got over here. Sarah Radwan's with us too. Good. Guys, I'm so glad you joined us on Facebook. In fact, I think we're on YouTube now. Isn't that right, Abhishek? Excellent. So lots of ways to start to join us. I should mention on the, for the folks watching on Facebook, if you'd like to join via the Zoom meeting, what you can do is on our website, if you click on the events, there's a place where you can join our mailing list, and you'll get these mailing lists every Friday. Now, some people that maybe are watching Facebook or in this call are going, no, I don't get the mailings. Well, that's probably, even if they've signed up, that's probably because Gmail is like throwing them into spam or something. We're not quite sure what's happening there. So, if you have problems with getting the emails, let us know, because it's good to hear the feedback and we may need to adjust something. The other way, if you're not getting the emails, is to go to meetup.com and you can sign up for Houston Oasis there. And then you can also get the Zoom links that way. So multiple ways to join that. And I think what I'll do later too is I might do a share screen since we have a little time and show our our new website off, maybe. We have a new website. That could be fun.
So Jesse.
be back here in just a second. It's a good time for those that are either coming back in from a break room or on Facebook Live to type your questions and comments for Kevinee, and we'll do our Q&A here when everybody gets back from their rooms. Lots of good virtual backgrounds today. Gretchen's on the beach. Bob and Debbie are in Emerald City. Eric has toast.
A great toaster.
Oh, cool. A what type of toast?
Tongue in cheek, of course.
Oh, daily bread. I see. Oh dear.
It puts Jesus on your toast if you want.
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
There are people who imagine that they see this, but you could actually put it on there so that it's unmistakable.
I didn't realize you could do that. Like you could imprint burns on a toast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You can practice cannibalism there.
We need an Oasis. We need an Oasis logo. Oasis logo for toaster.
I'd do that.
All right, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and mute everybody again, boop, just so we don't have anybody leaving their thing undone and cats meowing and phones ringing and stuff. And with that, we are back. Welcome back from your breakout rooms. Welcome back on Facebook Live. We're going to get started with Q&A here. And what we'll do is we'll do a mixture of questions and comments in the chat if you want to post those there. And we'll also do some video comments as well. If anybody's interested, you can kind of wave your arm in the video. But let's get started with a comment that Johnny on Facebook Live, or excuse me, a question that he asked. He's got a few questions. So I think I'll start with one of Johnny's questions, and we may come back to some other ones. But Kevinee, Johnny asks, how about we'll do two? What are some of the challenges to fostering, and how does somebody go about it?
All right. I think one of the biggest challenges is staying engaged in the process. Because as you continue to go to the classes, you're going to hear data that's going to scare you. As you continue to go to the classes, you're going to have friends and family members that discourage you. As you continue to go to the classes, you're going to feel like, I don't think I should be doing this. And you're going to question yourself. There is a surplus of African-American kids who are coming into foster care, and a surplus of Caucasian people who are open to foster and adopt those kids, but may not necessarily have the cultural competency to do so. And so that's been another conversation I know that has recently been scaring foster parents, like, oh God, if I get a Black placement, what does that look like? What should I know? Is it just about hair? I think the other challenge that most people have is just really leveraging the space. As long as you have a bedroom that has a closet and you have a dresser, you could be a foster parent. I know that sounds pretty sad. It's a 36-hour class that requires your time for those 36 hours in a bedroom to be able to definitely pass a background check. And yeah, just open up your home. I think those are some of the top challenges that I've, heard about. And I actually had my own foster care license at some point. And there's fear. I was even afraid myself as a former foster youth and a new mom and a new foster mom to even go to bed. I was just thinking like, oh God, please don't run on my watch. So yeah, but fear is false evidence appearing real. So don't let that persuade you out of keeping your word to yourself.
And we have a question here from Dr. Richard Andrews. Let's go over to Richard and he'll ask his question.
Hi, Kevinee. I feel like I'm cheating here because Kevinee joined our breakout room, so I already had a chance to ask her a question. So I'm going to ask her a slightly different question. Kevinee, for people not in a position to do actual foster care, are there other ways that they can be supportive?
Absolutely. I think one of the best ways is to leverage your skill set. So I have a nonprofit. I help foster kids all over the world, and doesn't necessarily even have to be in the States. We had a young man from West Africa make a hashtag foster care sign. So you could get with nonprofits that you find value in and provide your expertise. leverage your social capital. In my mind, people are always wanting money because that's how the nonprofit sector work, and that's great. But I feel like social capital is much more important than actual money, because social capital is what affords you opportunities that money can't buy. So who is it that you know in your peer group who has the power to help a nonprofit organization with maybe accounting, with maybe having people like this? I see there's 38 participants come to an event and host a fundraiser. I also talked about 76% of girls who age out of foster care are mothers before their 21st birthdays. Maybe that's just something as simple as those 38 participants buying a box of Pampers and taking it to a child welfare agency, because typically those same young ladies end up having misdemeanor and felony charges for stealing those items that I mentioned, just Pampers alone. So no, even if you don't want to be a foster parent, and I get it, you're not in a position to foster and or adopt. One of the other things that I do too is in providing exposure opportunities. Maybe you can call a child welfare agency and say, hey, I would love, well, the movies is closed, but use that for an example. I would love to pay for a movie for 10 foster parents, and we can collectively raise money, so that would provide an engagement opportunity for foster parents. Or I want to buy 10 Chipotle gift cards so that foster kids, at least on that day, can have something that they really want to eat. I like to keep it simple, Richard, because once we start looking at the data and people get all activated and emotional, you could get ready and you'll do nothing, because it's just like, where do I start? Just have fun with it.
Thank you.
I hope that answered it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Rebecca's asking, what causes someone to move through so many foster homes? Is it a result of the foster kids, foster parents, the state? Can you explain a little more about that?
Rebecca, I moved 13 times. I think it's a mixture of all of it. Foster youth, including myself, even at 36, just having a challenge with just feeling sometimes adequate in spaces. Some foster kids know how to strategically disrupt. So they may come into your house and there may be a smell that triggers them from their bio family or from the last family that doesn't allow them to have an authentic rapport with you, because there's so much past trauma. I think a lot of times it's personality conflict. I kind of talked about that in the beginning of how when you're looking for agency, it's sometimes like dating. Sometimes you got to give that person another chance. And a lot of times foster parents don't have the skill set to understand the behavior problems, and they immediately put the foster kid out, or the foster kid will strategically, like I said, disrupt just to see how much can I do before you remind me of the last person that got rid of me. And so for me, I'm all about teaching foster parents how to be a prudent parent. And in prudent parenting, you're handling, and I hate to call them foster kids, you're handling a kid as if you had that kid or how you would want to be treated. And so that's the misconception too, is that we have to treat people how we want to be treated. Well, when you're fostering, you have to learn how to treat them how they want to be treated. And then you have to coach them through the process that you're not like anyone else. Now, we've all been in relationships that didn't necessarily fit. And no matter what, we tried to make it fit. When you really like somebody, you're probably going to do everything necessary to keep them, sometimes even when it's unhealthy, right? And so I just always tell people that have that same love and that same tenacity that you have for that horrible relationship that didn't last. If you do that with a kid, I promise you'll make all the difference. I didn't get that, guys, until I was 18 and I met a social worker who's still in my life 18 years later. I never got that from any of the foster parents I had. They were very comfortable with saying, all right, get out, right? Until I met this woman. And so, yeah, just be in for the long haul. And sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of times the behavior patterns are really extreme. Oftentimes there's a ton of sexual abuse. There's a ton of mental health barriers. A lot of times, one of the things that I didn't mention that I'm very sorry that I didn't is that foster kids take mental health meds. They did a study on it, and has a link about it of how many drugs kids are taking, because the higher level of drugs that they're taking is the higher level or per diem a day, which means the money that a foster parent. So a lot of times they're on meds that they don't even need. And you also have to keep in mind that it's a $26 billion industry. And it's just like any other industry. It just so happens that there's kids involved. So that's why, kids disrupt on purpose. Foster parents get tired. And sometimes people aren't a good fit. But if you find a kid that you see has potential or value, you just kind of got to hang in there like you did with that guy or that girl.
And the social worker you mentioned that came into your life at 18, maybe this is related to this question, because Jennifer had asked, once kids age out of the foster care system, are there groups that help with finances and healthcare, navigating school, all that kind of stuff? Can you speak a little bit to that?
Okay, Jennifer, I wish there was, and I really try to do my diligence on making sure that happens. I really love that question because, again, I want to mention that 76% of girls who age out of foster care are mothers before their 21st birthday, leading to higher rates of poverty, criminal conviction, and child welfare involvement, which simply means that they end up losing their kids. What happens is that kid turns 18, they assimilate to 18, I'm grown and you can't tell me nothing. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, in Cleveland, when you age out of foster care, you're given a welfare application. So you're immediately doomed to poverty. And then you get priority housing into low income areas. So you basically live in the projects. And so you're automatically doomed, I feel like, to a poverty mindset. Simultaneously, we've passed a law with our past governor here in Ohio, where we've extended foster care from 18 to 21. That happened last year, which affords foster youth the opportunity to stay in care. And as long as they're going to school or they're going to a job training program, they'll pay their rent. The barrier that happens, as I mentioned earlier, the 54% of kids who don't get a high school diploma and the only 3% of kids who actually get a college degree. So that's a very large gap. And so a lot of programs that exist that helps them after foster care, and oftentimes trauma is so high and the behavior levels were so high and how they left the system, the foster care system isn't a forgiving system. So they literally have to attract people who are open to help them go after their goals and dreams. And unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, that's that 88% of former foster kids or current foster kids who are human trafficking victims, because they're not landing in the hands of people like you, Jennifer, who are asking those type of questions. So, and there again is where a person could come and say, hey, I don't want to be your foster parent and I don't want to adopt you, but I do know finance and I can teach you how to do a checkbook and we can go to a bank and I don't want to use your social security number. Here's how I can help. So, yeah.
And let's go over to Lindsay Cheatham. Lindsay has a question, and Lindsay, you should be able to unmute.
Hey, Kevinee, thank you. I remember seeing a story that you had been given an opportunity to open a house for kids who have aged out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. So what is really cool about my life and the homelessness I faced in the city that I live in is that houses are very, very cheap here. Very cheap. So I bought a 5-bedroom home that I purchased for $5,000, and with the hopes of allowing foster youth who are aging out to stay there. That, I don't want to say that dream is deferred, but the amount of capital that it will take to make that house functioning has been a bit of a barrier. Because as I mentioned before, and this is so unfortunate, this is an industry. So foster care generates $26 billion a year. Even when a kid goes AWOL, they're still worth money to the state. because oftentimes the state doesn't report. So a lot of times I'm just opening up this space where Caden and I are at and letting foster kids come in. I think you saw the story of Aiden, who went AWOL. He was a Caucasian boy, and I let him stay with me those days because I just believe that kids should have a place to lay their head and not have to worry about, you know, their self-respect being taken. And so that is something that I'm still working on, as contractors are really interested when you're a woman, for lack of better words. Can't think of a better way to say it. Meanwhile, that hasn't stopped me. I mean, you see on social media that I'll let kids stay at my own house, but I always do take them back or inform the county that I have them, and my county is aware of the work that I do, but that doesn't stop the police from knocking at my door to take them back to their respective places. And Aiden actually had an opportunity to go back home to birth mom, so that one turned out really good.
We've got a question over on our Facebook. We'll head over to our friends on Facebook Live. Sabrina asks, how should one evaluate whether they are mentally and emotionally capable to become foster parents?
Ooh, that's a good question. And you know what? I feel like that's a good question simply because you're never ready. I think Lindsay could tell you too, when you're a mom and even when you're having a baby yourself, you're not. I don't even know if you're ready when you push your baby out. You know what I mean? You just do it, you know? It's no better way to say it. Think about everything that you've ever been afraid of. And I wanted to talk about that, you know, during our prep talk, all this stuff that we're so afraid to do. Just wake up the activist in you. If you know that these kids need a place to stay and you got room, just do it. Just try it. I mean, worst scenario, it didn't work. You took a 30 class, you had an opportunity to change someone's life. I think mentally is a good way to put it as well. I go to therapy every 2 weeks. I'm in there and I got my own son. I'm in there and I help foster kids all day. We do have to get over our own stuff. We do have to process some of our own challenges and barriers and traumas because we all have it. Nobody's perfect, even if you never experienced foster care. I say, like, lead with your heart. You know what I mean? Like, just if it's on your heart, just do it. Because hands solve human problems. You know what I mean?
Wow. That, yeah, we didn't pay her to say that, by the way. She's putting our core values in on her own accord. So
I love
that. So we've got a question here from, I've lost it. So Eric Schmidt was asking, he said it was striking to hear of foster parents using kids as cash cows. What do you think could be done to discourage that type of behavior?
Oh, God. Yeah. So the thing is, this is why I love these forums where they have nothing to do really with child welfare, but it's really a collective group of people who vibe on a frequency of like, let's hang out, let's see how we can change the world, let's be honest about what our values are. When you like activate those people and they think about it, because once this is over, right, sometimes it feels like church. When you hear it, it's there, it feels good, you're on it, and then you have to go live your regular. The good thing about this is now that you have attracted it, you're going to see it. So sometimes you might be in your car and like, wait, that kid has luggage or that kid has a book bag. I wonder if that kid's a foster kid. Or now you're going to start seeing it come on commercials, like be a foster parent. Or you're going to see it right on billboards. Eric, it's people like you and me who like can hold the county accountable simply by just even in some of the classes, even if you don't think you want to be a foster parent. So let's just say you see for Houston's upcoming class on such and such date, there's an intro to be a foster parent, and you go to that and you sit and you ask questions. Well, the person who is asking questions is in control of the conversation. And so change the narrative with questions like that. A lot of times foster parents play it safe and they don't ask those questions because they've been able to benefit from those answers, right? And they also know, they learn actually from social workers that if this kid is a behavior problem, I can more than likely get more money because he shouldn't be a level 1, he should be a level 4. So they'll continuously complain about this kid so that they can get the access to capital that they need. Or have them take medication. And it doesn't matter what color you are, every color is doing this to foster kids. I can't wait to send you this link. And they have these little kids on here talking about how many drugs that they're taking. Whenever a kid is on mental health medicine, it spikes their behavior level up and the money. And because the state is very much so involved in these practices, it's been very hard to hold them accountable. There was a documentary, the Hernandez story, I think it was, the little baby who the state didn't come in and protect him as they should, and he ended up dying, and then social workers were like lying about paperwork. It's on Netflix, and it just shows you how the private sector and the public sector have a lot to do with each other in terms of the capital. Anytime a foster kid comes into care in Ohio, they can range anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And so here's where the conversation gets really interesting. If you and I wanted to go in business to open up a group home or a foster care facility, we could. Now, we have to be able to keep doors open. So in keeping our doors open, we need kids. And so a lot of times you'll see Black and brown children come into foster care at just crazy numbers because they don't have legal support to be able to say, hey, give me my kid back. But we have to meet our quota to stay in business. And so once people start seeing child welfare for business, not, oh my God, these poor kids, or oh my God, these social workers, it would change the narrative, and regular people like you and I could say, hey, what are you guys doing? You just take the time, guys, everyone who's on here, to just Google a child welfare agency, look at the annual report, look at the amount of money that they're getting, look at where their dollars are being allocated to, and then hit them up like, hey, what are your outcomes for some of your kids that are in foster care? Or just say, I want to volunteer, and through volunteering, you'll get a chance to all the nasty stuff that I've been able to see the last 18 years. I'm sorry, that was a long one, Eric, but yeah.
Oh, horrible. I mean, really. Yeah, that's a stark reality. And you said that was the Hernandez?
Yeah, I hope I'm saying it right. It's like on Netflix. It was a little boy who was killed by his birth parent and her boyfriend. However, they tried to cover themselves, but they made a documentary, and in the documentary, and it's so sad. It shows you how the social workers lied, how the supervisors lied, and then it also shows you how the private sector has a lot to do with the public sector in terms of stock. You'll see it. It's gonna blow your mind. Like, these agencies are no different from like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. They all offer fast food. They all do it differently. They're not free. They all get access to capital for foster youth.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, Alexa says Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, if anybody's interested.
Oh, Fernandez. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So let's go over to Ken Gaines, our singer, has a question for us. Ken, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I got it. Can you hear me okay now? Okay. Kevinee, thank you very much. And you got me thinking here. I work regularly with the Kerrville Music Camp for Teens, and we weren't able to do that camp this summer, not even virtually. But as a result, one of our outreaches is to put instruments in kids' hands. A lot of the kids we work with, probably the majority of the kids are at least at-risk kids. I know some of them personally were foster kids, and I've gotten the opportunity to see them start to become themselves and respect themselves, which is what that camp is about. But one of the things we do is we put instruments in kids' hands. And this year, I have a plethora of instruments. I've already placed 21 of them this summer, and I have 10 more. In your area, and I'm going to check it out locally, but in your area that you work with, in your local area, are there programs like that where you both get musical instruments and say, here, go for this, and also in the process maybe have an outlet for people like myself and this wonderful group of people that I work with, who are just starting to giving them their voice, give them some instrument lessons, give them some songwriting lessons, give them just poetry lessons. That's what this is all about. So anything like that that you're aware of, I am going to check that out locally because, like I say, I have instruments that need to be put in kids' hands. So.
Oh my God. So this is what's really interesting. And I know Lindsay follows me on social media. So Aiden, who was at my house, he ran away from a group home. And he was sleeping. I always have to tell stories for it to make sense. He was sleeping outside of CVS when another woman found him before she brought him to my house. And so when he got here, we went and had breakfast and we talked, and I said, hey, I'm like, what makes you happy, dude? Like, you know what I mean? We have really down to earth conversations. I don't come, and I am a social worker by trade. And like, you know, you guys know I was in foster care, but I really get on their level. And he was like, a guitar. And I was like, a guitar? I'm like, damn, I don't have a guitar. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, I knew this kid was going to be at my house. And when he said that, I was just like, huh. And in the work that I do here in Cleveland, I hate to say this, and most of the nonprofit sector has kept it really simple and very surface level about what services we provide, right? So sometimes people are like, oh my God, you know, our kids went to a basketball game and the basketball game is all the way in the nosebleeds. And even though it's about the experience, they still treat them like a quote unquote foster child. So to be able to work with a musician, someone who makes music, someone who's doing it, someone who's skilled at it, that's where that whole superior concierge service elite feeling comes from, right? Where kids are like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So I would say no. I would say yes, please get in contact with me because I would love to get Aiden a guitar. I would feel so cool. And then 3, that is what I'm talking about, just using what you already have to like help these kids and have fun with it. That way it doesn't feel like work, doesn't feel like you're writing a grant, or doesn't feel like, oh my God, you heard all this stuff. I mean, too, that you mentioned music and the poetry. When DMC, Daryl McDaniel, like I showed you guys from Run DMC, the only thing that saved his life, he always talks about him being a suicidal metaphysical wreck. And so as he was being, you know, coined as the king of pop and all that other stuff, every day he said when he would end the show, he would want to commit suicide. Well, he didn't figure out until 36 that he had been adopted. And it was the Sarah McLachlan song, In the Eyes of an Angel, that saved his life, and the fear of him hitting the ground and really surviving and feeling it. So music was a way out for him. And a lot of times foster parents aren't allowing them to listen to the music that they like to heal them in that moment. And so it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I was telling the guys earlier, I wanted to tell people that I know that words don't teach. None of this stuff that I'm saying to you, the data, all that stuff, hear it and you might retain and you might remember it, but it'll be the action of you just using your own gifts to really motivate these kids to get out of the poverty mindset or to get out of the trauma challenges that they have. So Ken, I would say we have the same initials, KG. Hey, you and I could figure it out. We could figure it out and we can incorporate some other people to care about that, because you have the whole music thing on the larger platform that you have in schools. But these kids need to feel elite, and it should just be for foster kids. It shouldn't be the whole at-risk thing. They love when they see foster kid only on anything, and that's how I usually do my events. I hope that answered it.
Thank you so much, Kevinee. And guys, I know we have more questions, but unfortunately we have limited time. Now, Kevinee told us earlier that she tends to be the type of person. Yeah, she also is like, I know you mentioned sometimes you're the person that's like the last to leave. So we're not going to hold her to it. But my understanding is she's going to potentially hang around after the gathering here in the Zoom chat. For any of you that have questions, we'll open the mics up and you guys can have a conversation about that. So, but with that, Kevinee, we just want to thank you so much for coming and sharing your story, and also for answering our questions. It was an excellent Q&A session and an excellent talk. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. And yeah, I really felt just a dweeby with the arrows, with the pictures, but I have to say, Lindsay, I'm grateful that you find value in the work I do, that you've allowed me a platform to share with your family that I'm hoping will be my new family. You know, if you guys want to keep in contact with me, you're more than welcome to. Or on Instagram, you just follow #fostercare, you spell it out. And if you're on Facebook, I'm just Kevinee Gilmore, like I am here. But yeah, I am all about retaining rapport with people so that I can pay attention to make sure that you guys are fostering or doing something in the foster care population. But more importantly, I truly feel like everything's vibration and that we all were meant to be here today. It's rainy in Cleveland, Ohio, but I really feel like an attitude of gratitude for Lindsay, for you creating this platform for me to be able to talk about what I love. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Kevinee. Thank you to Lindsay and the speakers team and everybody that volunteers to make this happen. As Ken and Wayne prepare for their last song, we'll have a few quick announcements here. One announcement is really exciting. I want to share with you guys. And I say I want to share it with you. We're about to test my tech acumen here with share screen. Let's see how it goes. Can everybody see that? Yeah, sure. Let's see. Oh, the people on the OBS probably don't know what's going on. So I guess I should, or on the Facebook, don't know what's going on. All right. Hey, this is our new website, HoustonOasis.org. We launched a brand new website. So I want everybody to go and make sure to check it out. Can everybody still see what's going on? Abhishek, cut in if they can't. Oh, wait. Okay, you can see the website. See, I'm just as bad at this. So anyway, so this is our brand new website, HoustonOasis.org. We'd really like for everybody to check it out. And the reason this is a big deal is not only is it completely redesigned, but it's also the place to go if you're interested in upcoming events, which I want to talk about. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we have the coronavirus conversation. And so if you head there, you can always click on details and find out more about that and how to join. After dinner chat is going to be happening this Wednesday, August 19th. If you want to hang out with your friends and talk about stuff, click on that and click read more. And I'll show you how this works. With the Zoom links, we don't necessarily throw them out on the website so that everybody can come in. The better way to do it is instead when you go into either join our mailing list, or for those that have trouble receiving the emails for some reason, we have a few email clients that don't like us. Meetup.com is another place to go and look for Houston Oasis, and you can get all of the Zoom links there as well. So definitely check out our new website. And notice on the new website, I should mention that when you click on Oasis Network, boom, the Oasis Network has a new website, oasisnetwork.com, which is an awesome domain name, by the way. And it's also got, in fact, that's Scott. That's my boyfriend. It's got all of the information about all of the ways to start a community. And we're grateful that Celia from Albuquerque has joined us this morning. She's looking at potentially starting a community there. We're not going to hold you to it, Celia. She's just in the interest phase, but we're definitely glad you're here with us this morning. All right, you knew I was going to do it, but I'm also going to click on this page. It's called the donate page. Houston Oasis is glad that everybody's here just to have you. But if you are able, we are supported off of donations. And so you can donate at HoustonOasis.org. We'll put some links there in the chat. Anything you're able to do to help out with that. You're also able to sign up as a recurring donor, I think. Yes, through the Simple Give donor portal. And that's a handy way for us to just track for budgeting purposes how much we'll be able to plan for in terms of upcoming speakers and musicians. So other announcements, let's see. Oh yeah, let's see. Okay, so we had a board meeting this last Thursday night, and I'm sad to say that I am stepping down from the board and also as vice president of Houston Oasis. It's not anything bad. I am actually moving to Denver, Colorado here in about 2 weeks. And so it's just, it's going to be difficult for me it's got to be kind of weird to have somebody in Denver at Houston Oasis, but I'll try to join all the virtual meetings I can. I just want to let everybody know it's been an absolute honor and joy for me to volunteer for Oasis during this time. It's been the best volunteer role I've ever had. You guys make it worth it. And I really just enjoy getting to meet and know all of you. So thank you for that. For these last, gosh, I guess it's been 5 or 6 years. 6 years, yeah. So thank you. With that, I think we're going to head it back over to Ken Gaines, who's going to have our final song. Let's go to Ken. Oh, and I guess I should stop.
All right.
Screen share. How do I do that? Oh, there we go.
Oh, traveling around through all these wires. To figure out how to do this properly, I won't need to. By the way, I put my email up there on the chat as well. Like I say, I have these instruments, and I know there are more coming, and they do nobody any good in my storage unit, so they need to be put in the hands of kids. So if you have any other ideas along those lines, drop me an email. All right. Once you had a home up in the heartland, built upon a slab of solid stone, safe within the sound of your own mother's voice. Till you struck out on your own. First you tossed the map out of the window, then you crossed the far side of the hill. Then you lost the will to find your way back home. And now you never will. Out here on the border, cross that muddy water. Out here on the borderline. Out here on the border, and no law and order. Out here on the borderline. Well, you finally found your way out through the Badlands and threw yourself across that muddy stream, where the questions are the answer that you've been searching for in your darkest dreams. And you run along with one foot on the wrong side, the other one dragging in the mud. You got a smile upon your face as dark as outer space, and a fire in your blood. Out here on the border, cross that muddy water. Out here on the borderline. Out here on the border, and no law and order. Out here on the borderline. Wilkerson on guitar. You learn to keep your weapon sharp and your eyes open wide. You watch your back and you watch the clouds. Out here on the border, cross that muddy water. Out here on the borderline. Out here on the border, and no law and order. Out here on the borderline. Out here on the border, ain't no law and order. Out here on the borderline. Once again, folks, always an honor.
Live for coronavirus conversation with Dr. Richard Andrews and Dr. Will Judy. We hope you will join us then. Also, next Sunday, we are excited to welcome, we're going to be right here at 10:30. Cheryl Dorsey, the author of Black and Blue, The Creation of a Social Advocate, which provides an unfiltered look into the LAPD police culture. That sounds pretty interesting. We hope you guys will join us back here next week for that. With that, we wish everybody a great week, and we'll see you back soon. Thanks, everyone.